Everyone knows Sleeping Beauty as a love story. A princess is cursed. She pricks her finger on a spindle. She sleeps for 100 years. A prince enters the castle, kisses her, breaks the spell, and the whole kingdom wakes up. That is the public version. The older version is much darker. In one of the most important early written forms, the sleeping girl is not awakened by a kiss. She is found unconscious by a king. He assaults her while she sleeps. She gives birth to twins without waking up, and the thing that finally wakes her is not love. It is one of the babies sucking the splinter from her finger. That story is called Sun, Moon, and Talia. It was written by Giambattista Basile and published in the Pentamerone in the 1600s. And it turns Sleeping Beauty into something far more disturbing than a cursed princess waiting for romance. Because the real horror is not that Talia falls asleep. The horror is what the world does to her while she cannot speak, move, refuse, remember, or consent. That is the forbidden version behind Sleeping Beauty. The public version says sleep preserves her until true love arrives. The older version says sleep makes her powerless. And once she is powerless, other people begin writing her life for her. Her body is used, her children are born, her attacker returns. His wife tries to have the children cooked, and the story still tries to call the ending happy. That is what later versions had to erase. In Basile's version, the girl is named Talia. When she is born, astrologers tell her father that she will be endangered by a splinter of flax. Not a dragon, not a curse from a fairy, not a monster, a tiny piece of flax. Her father tries to prevent it. He bans flax from the house. He believes he can control the prophecy by removing the object. This is the first dark pattern in Sleeping Beauty. Adults receive a warning. Adults try to manage fate. The child still pays the price. Years later, Talia sees an old woman spinning. She becomes curious. She reaches toward the flax. A splinter slips under her fingernail. She collapses into a death-like sleep. Her father thinks she is dead, but he does not bury her. He places her in one of his country houses, shuts the doors, and leaves her there. That detail matters. In later versions, the sleeping princess is surrounded by a sleeping court. In Basile, Talia is abandoned. Her father cannot face her death, so he stores her away. Not protected, not watched, just left. Then a king arrives while hunting. He follows his falcon into the empty house and finds Talia asleep. He tries to wake her. He cannot. Then he assaults her. There is no kiss, no courtship, no rescue, no consent. Talia is unconscious. The king is powerful. The story allows him to take what he wants and leave. That is the center of Basile's version. Sleep is not romantic. Sleep is the condition that makes her defenseless. Later, while still asleep, Talia gives birth to twins, a boy and a girl. They are named Sun and Moon. Even childbirth does not wake her. The babies are cared for by fairies. One day, one of the children cannot find her breast and begins sucking on Talia's finger. The baby pulls out the flax splinter. Only then does Talia wake. Think about what that means. She opens her eyes, and she is already a mother. She did not choose the father. She did not agree to the pregnancy. She did not experience the birth. She did not name the children. Her life continued through her body while her mind was gone. That is why Basile's tale is so disturbing. A normal curse pauses a person. This story lets time use her body while she is absent from her own life. Then the king returns. He finds Talia awake with Sun and Moon. And the story does something modern audiences cannot ignore. It does not punish him. Instead, he begins visiting her. But the king is already married. His wife hears him speaking the names Talia, Sun, and Moon in his sleep. She becomes suspicious. She forces the truth from his secretary and sends for the children. Then she orders the cook to kill Sun and Moon and serve them to their father. That is the second horror in the old Sleeping Beauty tradition. The children born from the assault almost become a meal. The cook secretly saves them and serves animals instead. The queen then orders Talia brought to court. She prepares to have Talia burned alive. Only at the end does the king arrive, discover the queen's plan, and have the queen punished. The cook reveals that the children are alive. The king marries Talia. The plot closes as if justice has been restored. But the original violation is never truly answered. The man who assaulted Talia becomes her husband. The story calls that resolution. But the facts underneath are ugly. A sleeping woman is violated. She gives birth unconscious. Her children are nearly cooked. Her attacker is rewarded with marriage. That is why Basile's sun, moon, and Talia matters. It shows what the Sleeping Beauty pattern looked like before later writers made it safer for polite reading. The old story is not about true love breaking a curse. It is about what happens when a woman is removed from consciousness and everyone else keeps making decisions with her body. Then Charles Perrault retells the story in 1697 as Sleeping Beauty in the Wood. Perrault's version is closer to the version people know, but it is still much darker than the modern fairy tale. A king and queen finally have a daughter. They invite fairies to bless the child, but an old fairy is left out. She arrives angry and curses the princess. The child will pierce her hand on a spindle and die. Another fairy softens the curse. The princess will not die. She will sleep for 100 years, and a prince will wake her. This version turns the danger into a fairy curse. But the same pattern remains. The child is punished for an adult offense. The royal family fails to invite the old fairy. The daughter receives the sentence. Sleeping Beauty is full of this logic. Adults make the mistake. The child becomes the payment. The king tries to stop the prophecy by banning spindles. But this fails too. When the princess grows up, she finds an old woman spinning. She does not recognize the danger. She asks what the spindle is. She touches it. She falls asleep. That is one of the sharpest details in the tale. The king tried to protect her by removing the object from her life. But removing danger is not the same as teaching someone how to face it. Because she never learned what a spindle was, curiosity brings her directly to it. Overprotection makes the danger unfamiliar. Then the curse takes her. Perrault's good fairy returns and puts the entire palace to sleep around the princess. Servants sleep. Guards sleep. Animals sleep. The whole household stops. This creates a cleaner story than Basile. Instead of one sleeping girl left alone, the entire system sleeps with her. But Perrault does not end with the awakening. That is the part modern versions often remove. Then the Brothers Grimm reshape the tale again as Little Briar Rose. Their version appears in their fairy tale collection beginning in 1812. This is the version that fixed much of the modern structure. A king and queen long for a child. A princess is born. Wise women are invited to the feast. There are 13 wise women, but only 12 golden plates, so one is left out. The uninvited woman curses the child. At age 15, the princess will prick her finger on a spindle and die. The last wise woman cannot remove the curse, but she can soften it. The girl will not die. She will sleep for 100 years. The king orders every spindle in the kingdom to be burned. Again, adults try to defeat fate through control. Again, it fails. On her 15th birthday, the princess is left alone in the castle. She wanders through rooms and finds an old tower. Inside, an old woman is spinning. The princess asks what the strange moving thing is. She touches the spindle. The curse happens. She falls asleep. Then the sleep spreads through the entire castle. The king sleeps. The queen sleeps. The court sleeps. The horses sleep. The dogs sleep. The pigeons sleep. The flies on the wall sleep. The fire stops. The meat stops roasting. Even small daily actions freeze in place. The castle becomes an image of life interrupted. Then a thorn hedge grows around it. Year after year, the hedge becomes thicker until the castle disappears behind it. This part is darker than most people remember. Before the successful prince arrives, many princes try to force their way through the thorns. They fail. The thorns catch them. They die there. So the castle is not just hidden, it is surrounded by dead men who tried to reach the sleeping princess before the time was right. The hedge is not only protection, it is a grave boundary. Then, after 100 years, another prince arrives. This time, the thorns open into flowers. He enters the castle. He finds the princess. He kisses her. She wakes. The castle wakes. The wedding follows. Compared with Basile and Perrault, the Grimm version is much cleaner. No assault, no twins born during sleep, no ogress mother trying to eat children. But the same structure remains. The princess is cursed before she understands anything. Talia cannot consent, cannot refuse, cannot wake, cannot stop the king, cannot choose pregnancy, cannot choose motherhood, cannot choose the scandal that follows. Her life continues without her active participation. In Perrault, the first violation is removed, but the story still places her and her children under the power of an older royal woman who wants them eaten. In Grimm, the worst material is removed, but the princess remains beautiful, still, silent, and passive until a prince arrives. That is why the sleep is not innocent. It is not rest. It is the removal of choice. Fairy tale tradition often makes that look beautiful. A sleeping girl cannot argue. She cannot reject. She cannot interrupt the story. She becomes an image waiting to be claimed. That is the darker meaning underneath the romance. Sleeping Beauty is one of the few major fairy tales where the heroine becomes most important when she cannot act. Her value inside the story increases when her agency disappears. That is why the older versions are so important. They reveal what the polished versions hide. The public version says, the prince saves her. Basile says, a king violates her. The public version says, the kiss ends the danger. Perrault says, the danger continues after marriage. The public version says, the castle waits peacefully. The Grimms say princes die in the thorns. The public version says the story is romance. The older material says it is about consent, control, silence, and what happens when a life is placed outside its owner's control. Even the spindle matters. It is not a weapon in the usual sense. It is a small domestic object. In Basile, it is even smaller, a splinter of flax under the fingernail. The danger enters through a tiny wound. That is part of the story's power. Catastrophe does not arrive as a monster. It arrives as a prick, a splinter. A household tool, a small thing adults tried to erase instead of explain. The father's response is always control. Ban the flax, burn the spindles, remove the object, seal the danger away. But control does not save the girl. It leaves her unprepared. When the object returns, she does not understand it. She touches it. The prophecy completes itself. This links Sleeping Beauty to other dark fairy tale patterns. In Rapunzel, a child is taken because parents steal from a garden. In Sleeping Beauty, a child is cursed because adults mishandle a social obligation. In both, the child pays for adult action. The offense begins outside her control. The sentence lands on her body. That is the grim logic of these tales. The story became softer over time because later audiences wanted clearer morality. Basile's assault became Perrault's courtly awakening. Perrault's ogress mother became Grimm's clean wedding. Grimm's thorn deaths became a more decorative enchanted castle in later versions. Each retelling removed something harder to accept. But removal is not innocence. The structure stayed. A girl is cursed for something she did not do. Her father tries to control the danger. The control fails. She loses consciousness. A barrier forms around her. Men try to reach her. The right man enters at the permitted time. She wakes into a life arranged by others. That is not simply love breaking a spell. It is power moving around a silent body. Basile shows the worst version of it. Talia wakes after the world has already changed her life. She has children. She has an attacker. She has enemies. She has a place in a royal secret. She wakes into consequences she never chose. That is not awakening as rescue. That is awakening as aftermath. Even the names Sun and Moon sharpen the meaning. They sound beautiful, but they also mark time, day and night. Cycles continuing, time moving while Talia does not. Her children are proof that time passed through her body while she was absent. The Grimm version tries to solve this by putting the whole castle to sleep. If everyone sleeps, time does not leave her behind. But the thorn hedge creates another horror. The outside world still hears the story. Men come. Men die. The castle becomes a sealed legend with corpses at the border. Even the cleaner version cannot make the sleep fully harmless. Someone always pays. That is why Sleeping Beauty lasts. It is not just a fantasy about true love. It is a fear about losing control over your own story. A fear that other people can decide what your body means. A fear that protection can become ignorance. A fear that beauty can become more valuable when it is silent. A fear that someone can wake up after years of absence and find that life has already moved on without asking. The public version ends with a kiss. The older tradition begins its horror after she falls asleep. And the most disturbing part is this. Sleeping Beauty is not powerless because she is weak. She is powerless because every version of the story is built around other people acting while she cannot.